I won't keep you too long then. I'm going to dive straight in by simply saying thank you first for taking the time to speak with me. I know this is an incredibly busy period for you. So are you doing well?
Very fine, very fine. Thank you.
Fantastic. Of course, we're just a couple of days removed from the release of your brand new album, A Dream of Wilderness. The dust hasn't quite settled yet. We've got some time. But how are you finding the reaction to it so far?
Well, the reactions have been very, very good. We didn't know what to expect because every time we release an album, the music is a bit different than what we did before, and we can't know if our followers will like it or if they will just think, oh, this is not exactly Procopton Part 2, so I don't like it. And so far, the reactions have been very, very good. So we are really glad.
Do you find yourself reading up on a lot of reviews, diving into comments, or do you try to avoid that side of things?
In the band, I am the person who is in charge of communicating with our followers. So I have to read all the comments and to answer to all of them. But I don't read reviews a lot. First, because I don't have much time currently, and also because reviews are a different kind of feedbacks. It's completely different to read reviews than to read feedbacks from our followers, because sometimes when I read an interview, for example, I will understand that the person who is writing the review is a traditional death metal fan. So he will not like our album, and that's normal. And that's the point that I don't really like about reviews, which is we don't really know the person who is writing the review, and we don't know which kind of music he likes and which kind of music he dislikes. So of course I still read some reviews, and they were all very different. So we just can't know if our album is good by reading reviews.
No, best to judge the wider audience. Do you enjoy interacting with fans in that online environment? The demand to always be switched on?
Oh yes, of course. I really like it, because one of the best thing by having a music band is, for me at least, is to communicate with our followers. The simple fact of sharing music with people who live everywhere in the world, and they listen to this music, they give their feedbacks, and we answer to them. That is really something I like. It makes the process very fun, very pleasant, and I'm very glad that our band exists in 2021 and not 20 years ago or 30 years ago, because it will have been much harder to get feedbacks from our followers.
No, absolutely. Yesterday, I decided to scroll through around, well, it was 810 comments at the time yesterday morning. So I got to about 500 for the video for Antigod. And I was stunned getting like 500 where there wasn't a single negative comment. That's not just rare on YouTube. That's phenomenal. It's YouTube after all. Are you feeling the love that's being directed towards Aephanemer?
Well, yes. And we were a bit surprised because last time when Napalm Records re-released our last album, which was Procopton, we had to release another music video on the Napalm Records channel. And all the comments were not positive. We had negative comments. We had people saying this is not original, this is not music, all this kind of stuff. Not many comments, but there were negative comments. And this time, I don't know why, but this time we released 3 videos on the Napalm Records channel, and we almost didn't have negative feedback, so I don't know why, but it's cool.
Yeah, just enjoy that then, I guess, if you can't work out why.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot has changed. I mean, you brought up a couple of times, but Procopton, a lot has changed in the world since that release. A lot of challenges for artists and bands. How have you guys got through it? Have you weathered the storm as best as possible?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you mean.
So obviously, we're kind of touching upon the elephant in the room, COVID, and the last couple of
Oh,
years and the changes that have happened since Procopton was released. It's mainly about how you guys have coped and got through this period.
oh yes. Well, when the COVID began, it was exactly the moment when we were beginning to write this new album.
Incredible.
So we decided to write this album, and in fact, we had more time to do it because all our shows were cancelled,
Yeah.
like every other band. So we just focused on that. And also, when we were working on these new songs, especially when we were rehearsing these new songs, we were thinking that one day we will be back on stage, and it is maybe a kind of gift that we have so much time to practice these new songs. We don't have shows, so we can prepare to be 100% ready when the shows are back. And we worked a lot to be able to play these new songs live. We also we worked on different things related to shows. For example, we acquired lights, a lot of lights.
Awesome.
We learned how to program them to be able to have something nice when the shows are back. So now we are prepared and we can't wait the shows to be really back.
That's incredible. So you picked up some new skills along the way.
Exactly.
We often hear that from bands and artists we've been talking to over the last year and a half, that they've had this extra time to, perfect their new albums or releases. Is that something, having that extra time, that you'd love to be able to take forward in future releases, if possible?
It's always writing an album is always different. Last time the process was different than this time, and I think every time writing an album is really different because the context is different. This time we had a lot of time thanks to the COVID, and I think that next time we will try to write an album with less time, on the opposite. We like to change the process. So we don't really know how we will write the next album, but I think it was a nice experience, not the COVID, of course, but to have time to write this album. But I'm not sure we would like to work this way in the future. I mean, we had to work like this because of the COVID, but next time we will see.
Yeah, of course, it was a completely forced issue, so it's impossible to predict what the future will hold in that regard. Do you feel as though Aephanemer is stronger coming out of this period, though?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely, for several reasons. The first reason is that actually, during the pandemic, we gained a lot of new followers. I don't know really why, but since we could not do the shows which were planned for last year and for this year, we focused on online promotion. We have always, since the beginning of the band, we always did online promotion because it is something we like to do and it's quite effective. But during the pandemic, it was really, really effective. I think more persons were just at home and didn't know what to do. So we were able to reach them on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. So actually, during this pandemic, our band gained many new followers. And we had, as I just said before, we had much time to practice. Our new songs are more technically challenging. We all needed to practice a lot in the band because the tempos are higher than on our previous stuff. Marion, our singer, she in this album she included clean vocals.
Indeed.
And this is a new thing. So she had to practice that, and also I had to practice because the solos in these new songs are not easy to play.
You can say that again. It is an incredible listen. If there was one word that we would use to describe the new album to anyone that does, just one word, we would certainly use something like diverse. You're showcasing so much more than just melodic death metal. Was it always the goal to diversify your sound, or was this more of a natural evolution as you became stronger songwriters and musicians?
I think it's more a natural evolution. I mean, when I write an album, because in the band, actually, I usually write the songs alone. And when I write new songs, I don't really think about anything. I don't have a plan. I don't think, oh, I will reinforce the symphonic parts or something like this. It's just natural, and I think it comes from just the kind of music I listened these last years. I listened to a lot of Baroque music, a lot of also video games music, movies music, and I think it just influenced me. So actually, we know that this album doesn't sound exactly like our previous albums. It's always the same, but we didn't ourselves, we are not really aware of how different it sounds, because it's just our music, and the previous albums were also our music. So when sometimes we read in the feedbacks from our followers that oh, it sounds different, oh it sounds cool, and this is different, and we are always a bit surprised. We are like, okay, this is different, we just didn't know.
So to you, Aephanemer always sounds like Aephanemer, but surely, I mean, I've always believed and think that most fans want you to expand and build upon what you started with. Very few bands can kind of get away with doing a career of not really changing it up that much. As long as it's not like you were melodic death metal 1 minute and the next album you are a rap metal band, that kind of crazy jumping sound.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that many bands, most of the big bands actually, have different periods in their career, and their sound just evolves. And I think it's normal. I remember that when I didn't have my own band, when I was a fan of other bands, I didn't really understand why all these bands, they just change their sound. Why are they doing different kind of music? And I was reading the interviews, and people in the bands were saying things like, oh, you know, I am a different person, so I write different kind of music. And I was just like, okay, this is not really clear, but now I understand it. I mean, when I write an album, I just don't think about what I do, so I don't know which kind of music will be created. And I think it's actually a good thing, because if someone likes our previous stuff, that's fine.
Yeah.
And if someone likes or this new album or the future albums, that's also nice. And all these persons will probably come to our shows, and we will be able to reach more people, to bring something interesting to more persons. So that's fine.
That's all it needs to be. You just need to get back to those live shows.
Yeah.
For you, what's been the most exciting part of getting to this release?
I think the most interesting part, there are two interesting parts in creating a release and releasing it. The first interesting part is to write the songs. Yeah. I love writing songs. Then we have to record the songs. This is not something I really like. We don't really like recording in our band because this is complicated. This is stressful. We don't have a lot of time. This is expensive. So this is not what we prefer. Yeah. And then we have to wait a long time before our label, Napalm Records, is ready. We have to prepare a lot of things ourselves. We have to prepare music videos, lyric videos. We have to prepare many things. This is okay, this is cool. And then we release the album and we can see which are the feedbacks. And this is the second interesting part, just to share music with all our followers, and to see what they think about this new album. It is weird because when we release an album, we release songs that we really know for a long time. Yeah. For example, there are some ideas in this new album that I wrote in November 2018.
Oh, so wow.
It's really old for me, but for our followers, it's new. So it's a bit weird, but it's cool.
I always wonder that when it comes to talking about a current release, something you're about to do, that as a musician, mentally, you might have already moved on, musically, should I say, you've moved on because, of course, you wrote the song so long ago. But for you, when then, for the fans who are seeing and hearing and listening to the music for the first time, even though it might be old to you, does it refresh it for you? Do you get excited again by what the fans are feeling?
Yes, of course. This is really interesting for us. And as I said before, I would not be, and I think the other members will agree with me on, we will not be interested to just write music without sharing it and without receiving these feedbacks. And it's interesting to see, to read all these feedbacks and to understand some things, because sometimes we don't even understand our own music. We just write music, we record it, but we don't think it. And there are people who say, oh, this is na, this is all like this. And we are like, oh, they're right. They're actually right. And this is really interesting.
You must find it fascinating then when you read comments or hear feedback where people are taking things from your music that you maybe never planned or expected. The sort of, if someone was to describe a dream of wilderness as escapism, particularly coming out of a post-pandemic period.
I know that there are many persons who will see a dream of wilderness as escapism, but it's not really the meaning, because for us, it's more a will to change our current world.
Yeah.
But it's okay if some person prefer to understand it as escapism, that's fine. But we are more in, we think more about changing the actual world instead of just creating another one.
That's a big hot topic at the moment, changing the world, but change whether it be internally, externally, and stuff like that. Do you, how easy is it for you to express your own thoughts through your music about what can and can't be changed?
I think it's the hardest part is for Marion, who is writing the lyrics and who is singing, because it is the most important part about expressing our own ideas is to choose the words. It's not very difficult for me because I only write the music, so I just have to create the mood that I want. In this song, I will create this mood. In this song, I will create that mood. But it's more complicated to choose the actual words that we will that Marion will sing, and that people will read. So it's not very complicated for me, but I think it's much harder for Marion.
I'd imagine so, considering a lot of the lyrical content. When it comes to your roots, your French roots and stuff like that, obviously the expectation is that you're going to sing and you're going to, Marion's going to sing in English predominantly and so on. But of course, you have a French spoken track on the album. How important is it for you to keep that aspect, the French aspect, in your music?
Well, it's something new because it is the first time we try to record something with French lyrics. And actually, it was a kind of, it is an idea we had. Marion, she thought about it, and I also thought about it, and we discussed, and we found out that we had the same idea, which is we are looking for ways to reinforce the French identity of our music. It's a bit complicated because we have a kind of music which sounds like Finnish bands, Scandinavian bands. So we were just thinking, okay, now we will like to sound like French metal, but another kind of French metal, something that doesn't exist yet, and not just Scandinavian metal. So which are our tools? How can we do this? And we tried to, we had the idea to record a song with French lyrics. This is something that Marion wanted to do for a long time, but we didn't have an opportunity to do this. This time it worked because the song, which has the French lyrics, it's the Radeau de la Méduse. And it talks about an event which happened on a French boat, so several centuries ago. So it made sense to have a French version of this song. And on our side, we think it worked. We are glad of the result because we just didn't know how to sing in French. Will it sound good? Will it not sound good? How to do it? Because I'm not an expert on it because I'm not the singer, but how to make the French language, which is completely different than the English language, how to make it sound metal, how to make it sound aggressive. So she worked on that, and I think it worked.
Your enthusiasm does come through. I read an interview earlier on today where you described this song as being your, well, at the time it was your favorite from the album. Is that still the case?
My own favorite changes all the time.
Of course it does.
Right now, yes, it's my favorite. But if you ask me tomorrow, maybe it will be different.
It will be eventually you'll go through them all.
Yeah.
Does A Dream of Wilderness for you feel like either a culmination of all your hard work, so the work you put into Procopton and advertising and getting that out online, or the start of the next stage of the band, or both?
I don't know, maybe both, because as I said before, we don't plan how we write music. So maybe when I will write another album, the next album, maybe it will sound like Procopton Part 2. I don't know. Maybe it will sound like A Dream of Wilderness Part 2. I don't know. I think the main elements which are in A Dream of Wilderness were mostly already there in our previous albums, but maybe the balance was a bit different. Maybe this time the symphonic parts have more space in the sound, while on our last album, Procopton, maybe the guitars were a bit more on the forefront, but it's complicated to say. Right now, I think that I'm never really 100% satisfied of what I do and of what we do, because I'm really perfectionist. So right now, I think that if I had to write an album right now, it will probably be somewhere between Procopton and A Dream of Wilderness, something between.
Oh, well, that sounds amazing. Get writing.
We will see. I can say.
Of course. Listen, it's been a joy for us, as fans ourselves, to see the rise of you growing in the scene through Napalm Records as well. It feels like right now it's the moment for Aephanemer. Are we expecting, and I know ultimately a lot of it's hopeful and we shall wait and see what you can talk about, but are we expecting a busy 2022 for you guys?
Yes, we hope.
Yes.
If the COVID stops, there will be many shows in 2022. We are working on them right now. It's complicated to plan shows because they are always rescheduled, they are always delayed. But I think right now we are in the phase where we have and we want to play shows. We want to tour because this is what we want to do, and this is what we need to do to show our music to as many persons as possible. And it should be able, we should be able to do it in 2022 and also in 2023.
Yeah.
So we hope it will be the case.
That's all we can do. We can hope. I think the new songs from A Dream of Wilderness are going to sound absolutely phenomenal live. So hurry up and come to the UK, please.
Sorry?
Hurry up and come to the UK, please. We want to hear these songs live.
Oh, we will try to come to the UK. For now, we had a show in the UK which was planned before the COVID, but it has been cancelled. We don't have news yet. So today we don't have something planned for the UK, but it's changing every day. It's changing every day. So maybe something will happen tomorrow, next week, and I hope it will be the case as well.
Absolutely. Just watch this space. And in the meantime, folks, go out and listen to A Dream of Wilderness via Napalm Records. Martin, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?